a cooking class. If she goes to like a cooking class on Wednesday evenings, write down, oh, mom's from cooking class. Like these are ideas that you can give to her for whenever you're giving your suggestions for referrals. So it starts right at the beginning, even with building rapport. And then the second thing that I do, I'm gonna show y'all, is I have my personal slideshow that we've made. And on this slide, it has your goals, and then it also has a space for your sponsors. So those are the people who give you 10 or more referrals. And it's really simple that I bring it up, but I literally am just like, these are some of my sponsors. These are people who give me 10 or more referrals. I like to shout them out because they help me out a ton. If whoever referred the person that I'm meeting with is on this list, I'll point it out too. And I'll be like, look, you can see that, Cailey's on there. Yeah. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. Cailey did it. That's sweet. So later on, not only do they have some physical proof that other people have done this, they have proof that the person who referred them did it, which is going to make them feel like, oh, okay, well, I can do it too. And if you don't have any sponsors yet, this is a place where you can talk about that. Just be like, we're trying to build, or I'm trying to build a list of 50 sponsors right now. I haven't gotten any yet, but it's something that I'm focusing on. Sponsors basically whenever someone gives me 10 or more referrals. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about that later on. And you just drop a seed is what I like to call it. You're just dropping the little seed in their mind so that later on when you bring it up, it's already in their brain. Second seed that you can drop is in your demos whenever you're talking about like before you really get into anything, you're like, thank you so much for taking the time to see my demo. Like I said on the phone, you don't have to get anything, but if you do something like blah, 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 blah. And you talk about my main goal today is just that I do a great job and have enough fun and that you like me enough that you want to introduce me to a few other nice people like you at the end of my demo so I can just keep on working and going after my goals. It's written into your script, but I don't think that's something you need to skip over and just kind of speed through. Like have a moment where you pause after saying that sentence to where they hear, okay, again, there's going to be asking for some of my friends to talk to and wait for them to give like a confirming head nod or just like, oh yeah, of course. Like wait for that to process a little bit before moving on to the next part of your script. So there's a second seed that you can drop throughout it. And it's just something that gets brought up throughout the demo so that they continuously remember that it's going to happen. So that's kind of how it starts with referrals. Then you go through your demo. You, of course, just got to do a great demo and make them feel comfortable with you, make them build that connection with them, build rapport throughout the entire thing, make jokes, do all the things, pull all the stops. And then whenever you finally get to that referral section, they feel like they trust you enough to give you their friends and family's numbers, right? So biggest thing that has helped me personally with referrals is memorizing the referral script. And I know that's not something you can just do really quick, but if you practice it, if you take like 10 minutes a night of just practicing it, looking away, reading it, you can record yourself saying it and then put your script away, write it out as you're hearing yourself say it, and that'll help your brain remember it better. It's just so much more effective with referrals whenever you can look them in the eyes while you're saying it and not be looking down at a script every few seconds, So just getting those 6 lines from great, Susie can really help me out to where it says, if y'all have your manual on page 22, you can see it says great. And then it goes to where it says most people can find 10 to 15, blah, 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 blah. Those 6 lines in between is ideal for memorization at that point. But I think the biggest thing too with getting referrals is getting them to download the app. And the way that I typically go into that is like, I'm going to send you a text really quick. This is just what I was talking about at the beginning with getting some feedback and getting some people, some of your friends to talk to. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. So I send that over to them. And then typically they're like, do I need to do this right now? And I'm like, yes, please. Just because this is how I get paid. So I just want to make sure everything processes. So that is how we are able to see that y'all's demos have been like are real with people because they're giving you feedback and everything like that. So that's how kind of like our base pay program works with everything. So it is confirming and how you're going to get paid. So if you just let them know, like, this is super important. Can we make sure this processes before we hop off? That's been a lifesaver for me. And then they'll get on.
Question.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you're like making a sale on a demo, when do you bring up like your the My Rep app and everything?
Yeah.
Because I
So
find that I always like forget about it and then I complete the sale and then I'm like, all right, I'm like, oh wait, like and like it's
yeah.
totally I've lost them at that point.
So with whenever I make a sale, I learned this from Paige actually, but she whenever you are going through and that like you confirm everything that they want to buy and you start going in and I always say like I'm gonna start putting in this information for you because you already have their phone number, you already have their email, you already have all of that. So and then I say while I'm doing this, I'm gonna send you a text really quick. This is just what I was talking about at the beginning with getting feedback. So while I'm filling out their like shipping information and stuff like that, they're downloading the app. And once they get the app downloaded, they're going to ask, oh, what was that sales rep number? What was the meeting code? And then you're going to walk through that entire page 22 at that point. So you're going to go through that whole referrals process because in their mind, after they give you their credit card information, the transaction's done. Like our interaction is done. So if you can get them to do referrals before processing their order, they still want to get it processed. They're still going to wait and do everything they need to do in between. And it makes it much easier. And once they finish referrals, do the 3-way text. They're like, okay, now we can go ahead and process that order for you. So it's kind of in between step. But if you're not making a sale, you just do it at the end of the demo.
Mm.
But let me see what else is good for referrals. Well, I guess I'll just talk about the 3-way text a little bit. I do have. Are y'all having trouble with the 3-way text or just getting referrals in general?
Yeah, I'm not getting through a text very often.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm barely getting referrals, and then the 3-way text feels like an impossible goal. Like because like
yeah.
they're like it's
Okay.
like one person.
I have.
Yeah, the big thing for me is when I get referrals, I never get more than one or two. It's always just
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
their
where
uncle or their cousin.
so you can use that whenever you're doing your demos because if you bring up the sponsors thing at the beginning, you're like trying to get more sponsors, you could be like, you could be my first sponsor. If you give me 10 or more referrals, you'll become one of my sponsors. If you give me 20, you'll be a double sponsor. Then you go into that whole section where it's like, once I reach 50 sponsors, my manager gives me $150 worth of Cutco. That I get to raffle off to everyone. It's just a good way to give back. And I always like to say, gives you a chance to win some free Cutco. So it'd be worth it. And yeah, just encouraging them by being like, you could be the first person who's my sponsor. I think people are going to feel a little special with that. And then once you get one sponsor, this other sponsors start coming more because you'll do demos with the person who is your sponsor. They'll see they were a sponsor and then they will feel more inspired to give more people too because they saw someone else did it. I can too. Let me find the three-way text. And it's kind of the same process with the three-way text because whenever you do a demo with someone who is sent a three-way text, you can let them know, I think, that person sent a three-way text to you. It's kind of just the same thing. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, that was really nice that I got a warning that you were reaching out first. I want to do that for my friends too. And I've had people too that didn't get a three-way text, and then when I bring up the three-way text, they're like, "Oh, well, Stacy didn't do that, so I don't want to do it." And it's just like, oh. So just trying to get it every single time helps out. Okay. So with the three-way text, I have a PowerPoint for this one. So it's kind of the biggest thing is creating comfortability and all of that. The more comfortable they feel with you, the more they're just gonna help you with the things that you want to get done. So with this three-way text, you got to read the referral script word for word. And sometimes whenever they're downloading the app or they're like clicking off referrals, there's like awkward moments of silence where they're just kind of like, oh my gosh, I didn't know there are so many names in my phone, like scrolling through it, whatever. And in those moments, I like to continue to build rapport, like just keep conversation going. And obviously not too much to where you're like distracting them from what's going on, but just the awkward silence isn't super ideal. And they're just kind of like, okay, I'm clicking these people off. I want to get off whenever I'm done, you want them to stick around a little longer, do the three-way text. But my go-to with this is like, you got any fun travel coming up? People love talking about the places that they're going. It's super easy. And then you just got to let them know how helpful the three-way text is. So with this, I like to talk about how with the three-way text, it gives not only the other person an opportunity to let me know if they don't want to do it before I even reach out to them, but it also makes me more comfortable because it feels like I'm not talking to a complete stranger. Like it feels like I have some sort of introduction to them. And that's usually like what really gets them is you admitting it would make me more comfortable if you did it too. They're like, oh yeah, I totally understand. And yeah, so this is something I can put in there. Three-way text just lets them know that I'll be reaching out. It makes it easier for both sides. If they aren't interested, they can tell me before I ever reach out to them. And makes me more comfortable because I feel like I'm getting an introduction instead of just talking to a complete stranger. Let me know when y'all got that down. And I physically write this into my script too. Like I have it on page 22.
Have you found that like you like revamp your script at a certain point? Like I have so much stuff written on it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I almost want to like reprint it and like kind of put some space in certain parts to like put like things that I've like heard like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's really good. I really like saying that.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of like, especially in this upcoming winter season, we're gonna have lots of different workshops where we are like putting stuff into your script that is specifically for like holiday times and
Yeah,
like that. So the script is a work in progress sometimes. And
gotcha. Also, totally unrelated question. Is there a theme for the meeting today?
we need to figure that out. There is gonna be one. So we'll send it out. Okay. Next thing. Yeah, these are specific things that you can add in there as well. But before you even go into the three-way text, show gratitude for sending referrals in the first place, of course. Like, thank you so much for sending those contacts over. Just one last thing to ask of you. In the app, we have a way to send a heads up text. Start reading the script from there. And let me go grab mine real quick. Sorry.
Oh, I do have a, oh,
What was that?
so I had a problem yesterday. My aunt was trying to give me like referrals, but it like wouldn't let her. Like you like put 10 in there and then like only like 3 of them went through.
Mm-hmm.
And then she tried to add the other 7. She's like, oh, it won't let me. Do you have any clue why that would be?
Sometimes it's because someone else has already sent you those referrals.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
what I thought. And I was like, oh, I probably already
you
have
like,
them. She's like, no, these are like random people. You would not have these. And I was like, oh.
yeah, I don't know. I've had weird situations like that too, but
I was able to get some of them down on paper. I was like, if you
yeah,
want to read me like a few of them, I can
that's
write them down.
exactly what you should do in that situation. Just ask them for their name and contact information because you can physically put it in there. But yeah, with those two, if they say that have 10 that they're sending over, I still give them credit for being a sponsor because they were trying to send 10 over. You know, they had that in there. And like even like with the people that are like only 9 come through, but they sent 11 over, you know, things like that, I still count it because they they went through the trouble of finding 10 people. It's not their fault that someone else also sent them
Mm.
before. But so yeah, this is kind of how I do three-way text. So thank you so much for sending those over to me. Just have one more quick thing to ask of you. In the app, we have this way where you can send a heads up text. So we can kind of explain how that works. But it's just a lot easier whenever people know that I'm calling and they can let me know if they aren't comfortable with it before I even reach out. And then it also just makes me feel more comfortable because it feels like I'm not talking to a stranger, like I've had an introduction with it. So all you have to do is just press that view shared button in the top right corner, and then you'll just hit introduce, scroll down a little bit, it'll say create message. It'll pop up with automated text, and you can just send it from there. And then they'll send the first one, I'll see it come through on mine, and I'll be like, okay, you do have to do them for each of them individually, which is kind of annoying, but it only takes a second. So if we can just do the rest of those now, that'd be awesome. So, yeah. And then you'll just see them start coming through. And then after they do that, gratitude times 1,000 again, just like, thank you so much. That helps me out so much more than you know. I appreciate it. And yeah. And then they've basically set up more appointments for you for free, which is really nice because whenever you call those people, they're gonna recognize your name and there'll be some bridge of connection that was built by that other person. So makes it 50 times easier. But y'all have any other questions about anything with referrals?
Not that I can think of right now.
Um, I think that mainly the app like not working was my main one. But trying to think of some.
No, I've had a few people that, well, really just two that really did not want anything to do with the app and wouldn't trust it and didn't want to allow access to their contacts. And
Yeah, there's people like that, unfortunately. We do have, like, if people don't want to download the app, we have like the web version that they can do where you can still get your feedback and everything like that. So like if you, let me go
how
to,
do you get to that?
yeah, if you go to like the My Cutco Rep app, like website, and you click on it, you press the download button, it'll pop up with this. And
Yeah.
at the bottom, it says, no smartphone, that's okay. Click here to use our web app.
Oh, okay.
And then you can do it from there. But the only downfall with that is it's not gonna access their contacts. They have to download the app for accessing their contacts. So I try to get in to download the app as much as I can because then it makes it easier for referrals. But if you have them go on the web app, you're just gonna go to page 23 and ask for referrals that way. Just get it pen
Okay.
and paper.
Got it.
Old school referrals. But that way you still get credit for your demos and all of that. But yeah, there are just unfortunate people that don't like downloading apps, and it's just there's a way to work around it. It's okay.
All
I've
right.
had quite a few who are like, I don't remember my Apple ID. And I'm like, well, I believe in you. And they're like, oh, I got it. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
What do you
good
want me to do
response.
about it?
That's good. I believe in you. Those are always awkward moments too. I'm like, please,
Yeah, right.
you download it. But
I've actually never lost someone in those moments, which is pretty funny. Like I would have thought I'd lost a lot of people, but a lot of them are like, actually, I figured it out pretty quick. I'm like, all right.
okay, cool. Well, if you don't have any more questions, hope you learned something. Hope
Yeah,
you use
definitely,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for taking the time.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. It's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna during sales because I feel like the sales are definitely the big one because they actually are buying something, you know. Like I feel like I'm really missing out on those. And I always get so excited about the sale that I just completely like forget like, hey, you have a second job to do here. And I like get through everything. And I'm like, all right, we're good to go. And I'm like, oh wait. And you know, they've already checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my
And
thing.
honestly, the people that you have sales with are the people you want the referrals the most.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's you gotta walk in for that next time. But just do the thing where you, as soon as you start putting their information in, send them the text, walk them through the process, and then place the order. Because when you place the order as like the last thing, it's just like ending on a high note. They're happy they got new stuff. I'm happy I made a sale and I got referrals, and then they're good to go.
I really like to start the chain thing too, because I think that's definitely gonna be like I wish I had thought about that last night because like my referral last night was like my first one that was like someone that I just didn't know and did a three-way text with. And I got to the end, I'm like, I could tell she was not about to give up anyone. But I was like, oh, they could really help out. You could be a sponsor. She was like, okay, all right. I wish I brought that up because that would have been a great point of like, you know, if you do have anyone, the three-way text. Anyways,
Yeah. Well, now you know. You can use it.
say learning and growing.
Exactly. Well,
Always done.
let's get into some phone time. So